Hello, welcome to the VDL finals. It is me, Beastista, and here with me is Goomer. Goomer, say hi.
Hey, what's up?
So this is going to be a very exciting match. It's against Rebellion and the Pangorials. And Pangorials were our ranked number one team going into the week zero, and Lucian was one of our lower ranked teams, but have shown the power of all three of the legendary dogs. Any thoughts on the matchup?
Uh, yeah, I think it's a really interesting one because obviously the dogs have been really strong for Lucian, and Panda's got that Rillaboom, which has been really strong. And actually, these two have faced off before as well, which was a really interesting match. And which Lucian took, I believe, was it 2-1?
Yeah, it was 2-0, but they ended up getting a really
2-0.
big freeze with the try attack, and they had some pretty
Yeah,
lucky attack or some Lucian magic. But
sure.
here we are. We have the matchup right here, so we can see that the all three drugs were brought: Togetic, Trevenant, and Mr. Rhyme, and on the Pangorial side, they got Lunatone, Rillaboom, Volcarona, Aerodactyl, Azumarill, and Thievul. Any thoughts on the team?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised to see Lunatone. Although I do think Trick Room is generally good against Lucian's team. I was actually expecting to see the Rotom. I think Rotom was potentially a good pick. It hits the Togetic well, and the Suicune can't be faked out. And Ghost is pretty good against Lucian's team as well, hitting Mr. Ram and Trevenant. But yeah, we don't see the Rotom actually on Panda's side.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely think that Lucian's been very leaning on, in addition to the dogs, Mr. Rhyme this season. So I definitely think ghost coverage and immunity to fake out would have been nice. However, Power Meteor Beam does massive damage into both like the Entei and the Mr. Rhyme and the Togetic. And so I can definitely see the benefits of having Lunatone offensively in addition to the Trick Room.
I think one interesting thing with these dogs too, and the choice items, and looks like Lucian's just going all dogs and redirection. uh, wow, but I think like Entei is really good here, um, because it's got like Stone Edge to hit the Volcarona and the Aerodactyl, but also the Sacred Fire is like really good for Rillaboom, but you really don't want to lock in the Sacred Fire against like a potentially thick fat Azumarill. So it's kind of tricky, what you band into it with Lucian.
So let's see. We see they lead Volcarona and Aerodactyl against the Entei Raikou. This seems like seems like concerning for Volcarona if the Entei is able to get a damage into it, and I'm expecting just a Tailwind. Any thoughts on this lead? Who do you like?
Yeah, I think getting the Tailwind up with Panda looks good for him. So I think a redirect and Tailwind seems pretty safe. I mean, Lucian does have that Choice Scarf, but Volcarona has decent special defense, and I guess Raikou could Scald in this scenario. But
So yeah, so it looks like the Entei switched out to Suicune, scared of the possible rock coverage from the Aerodactyl, and then the Rage Powder looks like to get up the Tailwind, like you said, and the Pasho Berry is revealed to weaken the damage.
yeah, that's a really good bring, knowing that this likely the Suicune and the Raikou will hit it. Um, and wow, no Tailwind. That's really surprising. Had there been a Tailwind, um, that Choice Scarf would have been effectively useless because you don't have speed advantage anymore. And also, Rock Slide can't flinch. So I guess Panda must just be really concerned about that Entei, maybe with like a Rillaboom in the back.
Yeah. One thing that's noteworthy is another Scald doesn't look like it's going to kill the Volcarona from that damage roll. So another Rage Powder is actually pretty safe, and it can theoretically take both hits from the Suicune and the Raikou and get a free attack or Tailwind off for the Aerodactyl. However, the Aerodactyl goes for Protect instead.
Yeah, that's what's risky about targeting the Pokemon opposite the redirector. If you think the redirector is gonna protect, um, so targeting the redirector is sometimes a good move. And luckily, Lucian did split his targets there,
Well,
and
yeah,
that
and
yeah.
that yeah, and then the Stab Scald is able to clean up the Volcarona, where the Scald from the Raikou probably wouldn't have based on the previous damage. But now we get,
Right.
oh yeah, really boom to come in.
Yeah, and I think this is tricky because Lucian's only switch-ins are Togetic and Entei here for this Grassy Glide, and both of them do not want to eat a Rock Slide. So I think Grassy Glide, Rock Slide is really safe from Panda's side. It's just you have to call which side the Grassy Glide's going into, because if the Grassy Glide's going into the Raikou, you could get a Specs Scald off in the Aerodactyl and KO it. But if it's going into the Suicune, you could get that Choice Scarf Scald off into the Aerodactyl. So it's really just who Lucian wants to preserve. I think a Grassy Glide probably KOs either one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's definitely a very interesting position right here where uh, Rockside looks very good, but this Scarf Raikou can definitely make it a little awkward. However, they Grassy Glide into the Raikou, getting the kill before it can attack. However, Suicune was not switched out, which means that they're going to get a free Scald into the Aerodactyl with
I
only
think
Tailwind being set up.
Lucian needs a burn here. It's probably Sash.
Oh,
Is it
not
not
Sash.
Interesting. Okay, so that's really good for Lucian. Not switching out was really nice, but also Panda didn't even Rock Slide, so didn't that didn't necessarily matter. I think not switching out was definitely the play though, because you can only he can only Grassy Glide one of your Pokemon. So um, Togetic actually to stall out the Tailwind is probably a good idea. Um, you could Scald the Azumarill, but I guess you could also like follow me and swap out here.
I don't know. Azumarill just looks really good into this position right now. With the Raikou gone, Azumarill just does not take much damage from anything, and does massive damage into everything on their team. I think I like.
Do you think we're gonna see a Belly Drum setup?
There's a solid chance, especially with the fact that they do have Volcarona with Rage Powder on their team. I wouldn't be too surprised of it, and especially because Grassy Glide basically forces one of these Pokemon to either switch out or follow me.
Yeah, I think Tri-Attack and the Azumarill is probably the play. That's the more concerning Pokemon right now. I mean, Entei is pretty free on Rillaboom, although Rillaboom could high horsepower, but it's not going to do that with Follow Me, Togetic out there.
Mhm.
It's kind of a risky play. I mean, if an Aqua Jet comes into that slot, I mean, it might just be GG.
Oh, but they go for the Wood Hammer, which does impressive damage for a resisted move into a pretty bulky Pokemon. And then the Play Rough also goes in the Entei, bringing it down to 35
Wow.
HP. Revealing Life Orb on their Azumarill too, which almost guarantees it's not Belly Drum.
Correct. Okay, no status on the Tri-Attack. Um, The thing is, a play rough won't choke out this Togetic here, so you're pretty free to just click Follow Me in Sacred Fire, and even if the Rillaboom protects, you'll get it the next turn. Um, Tailwind is still up though, so I mean, I guess they could double into the Togetic. I don't think Azumarill gets any. Oh, it does get Steel Roller. What if it's got Steel Roller with Life Orb and just takes out this Togetic here?
Well, that would be really cool, but I think the Rillaboom's outspeed, so even if it did, it's I think yeah, the Rillaboom ends up attacking into the Togetic.
If
It,
that real, yeah. I mean, if it had protected though, man, this is tricky.
yeah, that Sacred Fire did massive damage, but this Liquidation is probably gonna might well I oh dang, it did not. That Togetic is pretty bulky. I always underestimate how bulky Togetic is with the Eviolite.
Yeah, it's pretty bulky. I think I think it's like the ninth or 11th bulkiest Eviolite user.
So yeah, so with this, I definitely think that
A burn.
there's still a chance if they don't get the burn here, but if they get the burn, I definitely think this is over. That that bandit
And
does so much damage.
yeah, that really hurts. And okay, so Togetic doesn't hold on, but the Life Orb chip continuing to decrease, and this Grassy Train is going to run out eventually. I mean, obviously, so it's got Liquidation, Play Rough. We haven't seen Protect, but it's likely got Aqua Jet, I would assume.
Yeah,
Tailwind's over, so it's going to have to Aqua Jet that Entei. Now, the question is, I mean, what does this Suicune do, though? Will,
might just be sheer colding. But yeah, if it has Aqua Jet, I think Panda has definitely an out, but it's not the greatest because Air Slash I think still does good damage with specs on the Suicune.
yeah. Yeah, Air Slash or Scald are both good options, I think. With it's taking Life Orb chip, so even though there is Grassy Train, it will slowly you know, go down there. This is where the band unfortunately is kind of hurting Lucian. I think because I think Sacred Fire um, always picks up Rillaboom anyways, and so it would be nice to be able to like extreme speed right here, and that would guarantee the win.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But we'll see if they have Aqua Jet. If they don't have Aqua Jet, I don't think. Yeah, they reveal that they pretty much don't have Aqua Jet,
Wow.
which is pretty sad for Panda. They are able to survive, but with the burn, this game's definitely over, especially with the Scald there. So definitely a pretty good win for Lucian there. I definitely think it was overall pretty close, even though it ended up being a 2-1. Any thoughts on the match?
I think had Panda made some more reads on Lucian's switches, he could have played that better. Um, I think the turn one Tailwind rather than Rock Slide might have been better. I think maybe he was predicting him not to switch when Lucian did switch, and then he went for the Rock Slide uh, when Lucian, didn't switch out. So mispredicting those switches really hurt him. I think if he got either of those turns right, I think Panda might have won that game.
So with this, is there any changes you think that either team should be looking for this next match?
Um, I mean, I think the dogs are all really strong. I think that game plan worked out decently well, but I am a little interesting. He's potentially thinking about the Rhyme pickup. Um, I do think Rhyme is interesting in this matchup. With Freeze Dry, it can hit three Pokemon, but it is really threatened by the Aerodactyl and the Lunatone and Volcarona. So I don't know. I think leading Raikou with the Choice Scarf is pretty solid because you always have the option to Volt Switch or just dish out damage. Although Thievul will outspeed, so if we do see some Thievul play, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Does
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, no. So one thing I am interested in is I'm thinking that Lunatone looks not bad with Azumarill in the back, or with getting up Trick Room seems interesting to me, and I'm curious to see if Panda ends up trying to do that.
I think the worry is, Entei does get Iron Head. We've already seen Scald on the Raikou, and obviously Suicune has Scald. So and we know that it can't be Paso Berry because the Volcarona is. So
Oh,
uh,
but they do end up
yeah,
going Lunatone and Volcarona as the lead, just leading hard Trick Room, which is something that I thought might be good, but we'll see. I'm curious to see if this ends up being workable. However, the Stone Edge with Entei makes this not look great. Volcarona is probably going to die this turn, but they are going to likely get up Trick Room.
do you think Panda plays it risky and protects the Volcarona here though?
That would be a very bold decision. I'm curious of it, but I think it's okay to kind of just have
Because the
Volcarona die.
Entei's. Well, I was gonna say I mean Scald's pretty free, but if you know a Scald won't KO the Lunatone, I think you could definitely make that play because I was gonna say the Entei's never gonna Iron Head the Volcarona here. It's always gonna Stone Edge. So um, yeah, Protect would have been huge, but um, I mean the awkward thing here is that uh, Lucian has his one water resist out right here, so liquidation into the Entei slot looks so free,
Oh,
and he's
exactly.
gonna two shot everything.
Okay, so they bring in Rillaboom
Uh,
instead of the Azumarill, which I'm assuming Azumarill in the back. This basically makes me feel that Lunatone is Meteor Beam with Power Herb, because this otherwise it doesn't really make too much sense.
but he probably knows the Entei's banded, and so he's not scared of the Entei now, and that's the risk of running these choice items. Is Entei's a super good counter to Rillaboom, but if you're locked into Stone Edge, you're not really a great counter because I mean Rillaboom at least has ground coverage.
And it looks like Lucian's gonna make a switch out here with switching out the Suicune into the Togetic, and
If
the end. Yeah,
yeah, if a power meteor beam, okay. Even so,
yeah. No, this is definitely a smart switch, and we do reveal that they are Power Meteor Beam, and it's going to go into the most likely Raikou spot, which should take a pretty good chunk from it. However, it definitely a little bit awkward because oh my gosh, a miss.
that is some classic, some classic Lucian plot armor there activating.
Oh yeah, no, this looks so bad now. Cause like, yeah, no, it looks so bad now. That's all I have to say. That meteor beam miss is huge.
Well, the thing is, if there is a power gem, does a +1 power gem take out Togetic? And then if the Rillaboom goes for Woodhammer, that'll hit the Raikou. So,
I,
heck, it really just depends on how strong this Lunatone is.
I don't think it does. I think a +1 meteor beam does, but I don't. Oh my! I underestimated this strength of this Pokemon. So
Well, I wonder if Lucian was prepping for the Aerodactyl and the Rillaboom, and so went really physical with the Togetic. You know, he doesn't have any special defense.
Uh, well, Lunarzo took
That's
the
not.
Scald pretty well, but yeah, the Raikou was able to survive because it didn't take that Meteor Beam from earlier. Even though that, based on how much damage that Woodhammer did, I wouldn't be surprised if Raikou's not much bulk at all, and that Meteor Beam might have even KO'd the Raikou.
So I think here, I mean, Woodhammer and Power Gem are both going to KO either Entei or Suicune. So I think Lucian's pretty in a pretty bad position here because of these choice items. Not able to protect, not able to stall out this Trick Room. Um, what do you? I mean, what do you think Lucian does for next game here? Because it looks like he's in pretty bad position.
We'll see. I don't know. I think this turn specifically, they're going to have to hard switch Suicune back out into Entei, hope to bait a Woodhammer. I think that's pretty much the only pathway in this one. I'm not quite as eager to call this game over yet, but I think there's an out. But 2 turns of Trick Room and both of these Pokemon being threatened to one hit KO or be killed here definitely makes it look really bad for Lucian in this game. I do agree with that.
So I mean, Power Gem's going to take if he Power Gems the Raikou and Woodhammer's the Suicune, he's getting a KO.
Yes.
And then the next turn he'll have Entei and Suicune out again, and he'll he'll get a double KO, I assume, with another Woodhammer Power Gem. So, uh, um, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to hope that you survive here, I guess.
Oh,
You know
Suicune
what?
underspeeding is big.
I never considered that. Yeah. So there actually was an out with the flinches. Not really though, because you'd have to because the Lunatone it was still the slowest thing, and it would KO the Entei with
Yeah.
Power Gem.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if it KOs Entei with this power gem, but we do have a Zoom roll in the back, and well, I'm assuming a Zoom rolls in the back. Yes, and with this now, there's no way because Entei doesn't have protect, so it definitely looks like Panda's able to get this game too here if they just liquidation and power gem. So
Yeah, given that the Power Gem KO'd that Togetic with like 80% health, I'm pretty sure it would KO here, but I guess we don't get to see because the Azumarill's slower. But yeah, you were right. That Lunatone was really good in this matchup. That was a
yeah,
good adjustment by.
yeah. So that they made the adjustment that I thought was the correct adjustment, and it ended up working out really well for them. Even and they even got a little unlucky with that meteor beam miss, which made the game have some possible outs I could imagine with that flinch on the air slash that we had.
Um, I think Lucian is heavily going to consider the rhyme now. I think so. He could go. Um, it's tough because we haven't seen the speed interaction between Volcarona and Entei. I don't think have we? Because they're the same base speed.
Yeah, we have not. Volcarona, I think, has Rage Powder or Entei has not been on the field when they've not. But yeah, as you can see that I think your statement is right. It looks like Mr. Rhyme is coming in, which I think is the correct play. I think Mr. Rhyme just seems like an important thing, especially because they've Pandas led with Volcarona game 1 and game 2. However, we're just kind of can be in this situation where Volcarona is very good offensively in addition to its Rage Powder direction. And so Fake Out into Volcarona's partner can be punished with something like a Bug Buzz into Mr. Rhyme, which has a good chance to do, massive damage.
Honestly, what I kind of wish Lucian would do here is go Suicune Togetic, and then just if he goes for the Rage Powder setup, Scald. I guess he's Paso Berry, so you can't take it out. Never mind.
Yeah, the
That,
Volcarona is going to be able to take anything other than a Sheer Cold from
well, my
And
thought was basically if you get rid of the Volcarona and Trevenant actually looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, Aerodactyl obviously can have a flying move, but if you go in Trick Room mode, he's probably not bringing Aerodactyl.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. I'm curious to see if uh if if the Pangorials also try to do Trick Room again. Worked out very well, but now with they could possibly predict adjustments from Lucian. But we'll see with this match. I'm definitely excited to see what the Pangorials ended up leading based on what we see from Lucian.
No Togetic is interesting, but I think with the access to Mr. Rhyme with Fake Out and Trevenant with Life Orb, it might have Protect. You know, those are some different options to stall out the Trick Room, although it does not look like it's Trick Room this game.
This is a very interesting switch up from Pangoro with the Thievul and the Rillaboom. I'm assuming it's Grassy Seed on the Thievul. However, the Mr. Rhyme is also Grassy Seed, which makes it pretty hard to kill with the Rillaboom. Definitely interesting. I'm guessing this is just going to be Snarl and like Woodhammer into the Suicune, trying to get the one shot in Suicune.
Although he can fake out Rillaboom, and if Rillaboom wants to fake out the Mr. Rhyme, that's fine. That means he's not wood hammering the Suicune. So Suicune's actually kind of free to go for like Ice Beams in a Rillaboom, or even Scald, go for the burns. Yeah, I mean Spec Scald and the Thievul. Actually, that it didn't raise its special defense, so that's not a bad move. I mean, you
Well,
can go for the burn in the Rillaboom, but I don't know that I like that play.
well, I think the big one, Stevel's likely going to Snarl, but it looks like the Rillaboom actually has Fake Out, which is surprising with the number of Fake Out immune Pokemon that Lucian has.
I agree, and I think a hard switch into Entei would have been really nice there.
And then yeah, the Scald goes in the Thievul, which does not do a huge chunk of damage after the -1 drop from the Snarl. And now the
Yeah,
offensive output on Lucian is looking pretty bad, and they definitely I feel like they need to make a switch here because just a Snarl and Woodhammer is very free, and that double up is going to kill either Pokemon on Lucian's side.
I think the trouble here is we saw how much Woodhammer did into Entei, and that actually did big damage.
But it
I think
looks
going into Trevenant is fine here, I guess, but
I don't know. The Snarl
um,
is going to do pretty good damage, and then Foul Play next turn probably has a chance to kill it. The but the Snarl ends up going in, and it does, like I said, pretty good damage into both of them, bringing down Mr. Rhyme down to 50%, and the doing about quarter to the Trevenant. And yeah, going down to about a quarter
ooh.
after that Woodhammer.
So I think the trouble here is, I mean, you look at what Lucian's got on the
Oh,
field
that had to
right
be
now.
a crit. That is such a lucky crit
Oh my goodness.
because that was at -2. That did like 3 times more damage than it should have.
I mean, if you had the Ice Shard, that would be really nice here. But you know, a Woodhammer, even to a +1 defense, Mr. Rhyme in grassy terrain. Do you think it KOs here?
Uh,
I guess with the spiral damage for sure.
yeah, I definitely I I think so, but um, we'll definitely see. I think that the Snarl is looks like it just misses out on the Thievul Trevenant though, and so it's gonna be a little bit awkward there.
I think what's tricky is both of Lucian's Mons right now are his Azumarill's counter. So if he loses these Pokemon, if there's an Azumarill in the back, it's going to look really bad. So yeah, I think switching one of them out is fine. Oh, but he has the Grassy Glide. Oh, that's such a nice tech.
Oh, but they switch out the Rillaboom to save it for the Volcarona, which is gonna take this Grass Glide very comfortably.
However, Grassy Glide into Thievul the next turn avoids that Rage Powder, and Entei could potentially Stone Edge this Volcarona. Unless the Thievul goes for something tricky like a Mud Shot.
Ooh, a knockoff goes into the Trevenant, getting the kill. So that's pretty nice. So knockoff Snarl has been revealed by Thievul. The Entei is definitely very threatening for the Volcarona, and we can see the speed interaction here with the we never saw the speed interaction. This is going to be very interesting. Um, Thievul might just go for a Snarl, but if it has something like Foul Play, it could be really useful into the Entei damage wise.
That's very true. Thievul likely doesn't have Protect, so I wonder if a Mr. Rhyme switch in there to fake out the Volcarona would have been better potentially, but because even with Paso Berry, I think it should survive the Spec Scald and but probably not the double up with the Sacred Fire. I think it went for.
So I'm very surprised with that Rage Powder. I do not know. I do not understand that play personally. I feel like an offensive attack is almost always optimal there, but it dies to the Sacred Fire, which is very looking very bad for Pangorials with this because they're able to get a Spec Scald, which the Thievul takes pretty comfortably, but gets burned.
Yeah, that'll reduce the knockoff damage, which is kind of nice, and it kind of removes that grassy terrain healing. Obviously, we know Rillaboom's here, so gotta save the Entei. If it's a Zoomerl here, I mean, what do you do? Do you switch in the Rhyme because a Rhyme switching in without that grassy seed boost is probably dying to like a Snarl plus liquidation. And it's an Aerodactyl.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so Aerodactyl being in the back gives if it has something like Stone Edge, it is pretty free to get a clean KO into the Entei spot. But it's also getting threatened to get one shot by the Scald.
I think the Aerodactyl protects here. I mean, um, I think this. Well, protect isn't the. I guess Rock Slide's pretty safe because you are snarling. So losing getting either a crit or a Scald burn on the Aerodactyl would be absolutely horrible. Or a miss on the Rock Slide on the Rhyme, but connects.
Yeah. But yeah, this Scald likely, or I think kills. We showed this, and now, oh, it doesn't.
That's
I
too.
Yeah, it survives that pretty comfortably. Now, this is not the worst shape now. I definitely thought that that was going to kill, but so if Aerodactyl has a Stone Edge, I think they're in very good position. If they don't have Stone Edge, Rock Slide's probably not going to kill the Entei, and the Entei offensively is going to be very concerning.
Hmm. You know what though? I think I'm trying to think what the Thievul does here. We've seen knockoff and snarl. Is that all we've seen?
I believe so.
I mean,
Um,
because it could have like mud shot.
it could have something like Mudshot. I'm very curious what it's gonna do, but it feels like it's going to try to go for an extreme speed, which I don't know if that kills the Aerodactyl from this range.
I
Um,
think this is actually a fine play though. Well, does two extreme speeds take out Rillaboom though? This
it
is risky.
Yeah, it's definitely risky. They're calling this, like I said, especially Aerodactyl ends up going for the Protect instead, though.
Interesting. I don't think it's. Oh man, now he knows he's banded to do extreme speed too. Goes for the snarl, misses the Entei, which is, um, I mean, I think the Suicune's already lower anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, with these Scald, with all these drops, the Suicune's damage output is really low. If they can kill this Entei, I think that they're able to get the Pangorials are able to get there. But the question is does Aerodactyl survive the extreme speed, and does it have a stronger move than Rock Slide?
I think if you switch into Rillaboom though, Rillaboom survives and then can kill the Suicune, and then you bring the Aerodactyl back in to Rock Slide the Entei single target. Or not. I cannot
No,
predict any of these moves.
so it takes the extreme speed, which is very good. But let's see if it hits the Rock Slide or if it has a Stone Edge.
Yeah, see, that's where I didn't know if Extreme Speed would KO. That's where I almost think the
Oh, the Rock Slide kills.
oh
It
wow,
crits the
okay.
Entei. Oh, I think that crit mattered. I don't think Rock Slide kills without that.
I think the Sacred Fire into Thievul would have been a better play though. Um,
So with that, Rillaboom comes out, and we know that Rillaboom at least speed ties, if not is faster than Suicune, because from earlier in the match, um, and so so assuming that it is faster, which we saw, this seems like a wrap up in favor of the Pangorials.
you know what? I forgot how low this Rillaboom was. That's why I didn't realize the switch in there. So Extreme Speed was definitely the play. I cannot believe it survived there. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, basically they just
I mean,
need to hope that there was a speed tied earlier, and that Suicune does outspeed Rillaboom. However, Rillaboom reveals Grassy Glide and is able to get the kill, and the Pangorials are able to win the championship. That was a close back and
Wow.
forth. Any thoughts on the match?
I think Panda actually had a really good game plan in that game three, and that crit almost saved Lucen. I'm really curious on what that damage roll was for the extreme speed because that was definitely Lucen's out. And good on him to go for it. Really good set though, really good set, good adjustments by both players, and congrats to Panda.
Yeah, I'm really curious of whether or not that rock slide kills without the crit, because if that didn't happen, that also might have given Lucen the chance. But that was an incredibly close back and forth. That was very fun match, and I think it was a great showing where both coaches played amazingly and they adjusted very well.
I agree. I forgot about that crit there at the end. Yeah, that might have played a big role in that end game there. So, wow, really good stuff. Always good to see a game three in the finals. Yeah, hope everybody enjoyed our commentary here. Thanks for recording, Batista, and we will see you all for the next VDL season, I suppose.
I guess that's all for us. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for a wonderful season in the VDL, everyone, and I hope you all enjoyed.